Jackie Brock.
What's up, DJ?
What's up, man?
How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Yeah. So you're a man of very many talents, and you have a lot of crazy shit you've done in your past. Let's just start talking about it, because look, we've known each other probably 8 years, something like that. I don't know, something like that. And we've never really sit down and talked about you. It's always everyone else has something going on.
You know, which life do you want to talk about?
All of them,
now,
man.
You know,
all of them, man. Let's start from the beginning.
Because the one that's the most impressionable on me is the one going on right now. You know, with the current project of the family and the kids. You know? And anything else deeper than that, we're going to have to dig.
Well, let's dig, man. I mean, you've been booking talent in this area forever. You played in a really successful band from this area. You're playing other bands from this area now. Like, I mean, how did you get into all that? How did you get into music in the first place?
Man, so by the time I could walk, my grandmother had like an organ and a piano at her house, and then I don't remember when we got one in our house, but I just walked up and would just bang on it, and then but bang on them in key, and so I just always, music was the only thing that kept my attention, and so when I was like 3 or 4, they tell me I was supposed to grow up to be a country singer.
Okay. And
so I don't know where that came from, the singing part, because that's not me at all, and so I guess the country music thing got sidetracked with Van Halen. I went to a Van Halen concert in 1986, and it was the very first one that when they introduced Sammy Hagar to the world as the new Van Halen singer, and then Eddie came out there, and that's why we're talking right now.
Okay.
I just knew I had to do something involving music, at that point. And
how old were you then?
I was in 7th grade.
Okay.
I think. And so, I had a little guitar. My cousin Scott, he had a guitar, but we didn't know what distortion was at that time. And so, I picked up a guitar and I strummed on it, and it, you make a chord, but it just didn't sound like Dokken, and so I put the guitar back up and just kept playing on the keyboard, and Scott started taking guitar lessons and found out what a distortion pedal was, and I remember the day that he brought the pedal home, and he's like, this is what we've been looking for the whole time. And because I'd done everything I'd read in guitar magazines, like put my guitar amp in the closet and turn it all the way up to 10, put it up against the wall and just bang on my guitar to try to make it distort, to make it sound like Quiet Riot, and Black Sabbath, and never would happen. And then the pedal happened, and so everything changed from there. Scott showed me how to play a Dokken tune, and I'm like, okay, sweet. Now we know how to do guitar, and we have distortion, and so we started a little band called Chemical Youth. And I think that was
what year was
8th
this?
grade.
So 88?
Yep. And we were doing like Metallica and Sex Pistols songs, and pretty much those 2 bands only, I think, and maybe Anthrax. And then that kind of moved on.
Well, hold on. Let me talk about how does it feel to experience those bands and those years and come up in music at the same time. Like, you thinking about that, like, just me, I can't fathom that, because I wasn't born until 89. Okay, so like,
dude, yeah,
to be able to experience that firsthand, like, what does it do to you?
It makes me sad for everybody else.
That's what I'm fucking saying, because I'm sad for not being able to be there. Yeah,
dude. Okay, so. And that Van Halen concert, so we got to go to that, and Scott's dad took us to that concert. So that was in 86. And so, like, 7th grade. And then, so my mom had a friend, her name was Hope, that sold real estate with her. And there weren't any other real estate agents back then that wanted to go to any rock concerts, you know. And so Mom sent me and Scott with her to go watch the rock concerts. We'd have a chaperone, and then she'd have somebody to go to concerts with. And so after that Van Halen show, we saw every rock concert at the Hearst Coliseum. I'd say from 87 to 90, until I was old enough to drive myself, till we got grounded for something, and didn't get to go. But so literally I think I missed one Ozzy show. I missed the Injustice for All tour. Thanks, Mom. Had bad math grades. They knew how to make me act right, man. Just take away the music.
Oh shit.
And God, I only missed like two though. The entire heyday, and got to see all the original lineups. So I just knew, what I was going to do. So like in ninth grade is when I met Billy.
Melanson?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we were in earth science class together, and boom, we kind of knew of each other, but didn't really know each other well yet. But we liked all the same bands, and he had just kind of started playing the bass a little bit, and I had multiple little garage bands that needed bass players back then. There was the hardest thing to find. And so Billy was wanting to get in a band, and I'm like, dude, get a bass, and I've got one for you, and then, so he did, I think that was the second guitar player that between me and Scott, we talked into selling their guitar stuff and buying bass equipment at the very beginning of the freshman year, when we all had guitar class together, and some of us didn't have guitars anymore. But, and then so the garage bands started at that time. And so you have to imagine, before Cowboys from Hell came out and Nirvana, those dudes in those 80s bands had to be able to sing, hit them high notes and everything. Yeah. So we never had singers. So you just all the way through junior year in high school, man. Like not until, in 8th grade we holler along with Metallica or whatever, but like not until like Cowboys from Hell came out, and we were like,
that's the noise. That's the noise.
That's what we want to hear. Yeah. You can yell, and you don't have to be able to sing like that.
You don't have to be a vocalist necessarily.
You don't have to be a singer.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, ultimate vocalist back in those days, and so that introduced Dimebag Darrell to everything too. So that just made everything snowball. But from there, playing music, like there were no places to play for original bands, or no all ages things. There was a little thing that popped up like in 8th grade that lasted a summer, and it was like a cheerleading building, and the mom was cool enough to let us, play in our little garage bands on the Fridays and Saturday nights down there, and so when we'll fast forward a few years, and there was absolutely nowhere to play and do metal or original music.
I can only imagine.
This was like
it's the early 90s?
94, probably 95. And I would have to rent out this old grocery store, Midtown Hall.
Where's this at?
Which is Kings Highway and Old Mansfield Road.
Okay, this is in Shreveport, Louisiana. Okay.
It's where the Biotech Center is now, where Blade Studios was most recently. And so literally I would have to rent that place out, and then I would have to hire Chuck Scroggins to come do production there. And then I would also have to hire like SPD to come and do security. Mm-hmm. And then I had to make sure that there was Cokes and waters and chips and everything for everybody to have, and a stage. And then I had to make sure that it was insured. And then I had to make sure that people came.
Yeah.
And that became promoting shows without me realizing it, really, you know. And so basically, like, we do all the work to do an event,
Yeah.
and then just give away all the money at the end of the night. They just split it evenly with everybody because you know that you just didn't know any better, you know. And
right.
Meanwhile, so I'd take a signature loan out from whichever Pioneer Bank back in the day or whatever, and get the cash I needed on Friday and hoped that I could bring it back on Monday. You know, hope I could bring it all back to them and not have to owe them anything.
Yeah.
And it just worked more often than it didn't, you know. And so it was out of necessity, you know, that I started doing the shows. And then I guess my first national act was kind of an accident, really. It was Coal Chamber.
Okay.
And so they had played a radio show in Bossier, and whoever had organized the whole thing hadn't dotted all of their I's. And I don't know if it was with an event permit or scheduling or something, but anyway, Coal Chamber didn't get to play. And so there were a lot of people here that were upset about it. And I knew a couple of guys in the band, and we were just talking, and I didn't know the tour manager was standing right there, and he heard me. I was confused at how it could get messed up.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't even understand how this could happen. And he goes, well, here, he asked me a couple of questions and then handed me a business card and told me to call his boss on Monday, and they would come back to Shreveport and play for me next time. And so that guy's name was Dave Kirby, and little did I know that he taught me how to do a whole offer sheet, and, you know, and showed me, like, after you risk all this money, you know, there's a line item for you to actually make a promoter profit on there, you know. And I'm like, oh, you know. And he's like, well, how are you getting paid? And I'm like, well, the guy that owned the club would give me some money, you know. And I was happy with it, you know. And so, like, he, like, showed me how to do it at that time. And then Southpaws opened up in downtown Shreveport, and then they wanted national acts to be playing there. And so basically they just gave me a job doing the national acts there, and asked me not to lose them money, you know. And so that's what we tried to do, and it worked. And here we are all these years later. So, I mean, I just kind of like stumbled into it at that time out of a necessity. Yeah. And it just, you know, I've just been a proponent for original music that whole time since then, you know. And so just from, I guess I went from there to the sound stage. So from like 99 to 2005, you know, we had a really good run down at 516. Yeah. And, and then it's just, here we are. Yeah. You know, I mean, Peter Pan syndrome lives on. So, you know, so I get to play music with my best friends and work in the music business, and, you know, we're here. We're at work today, both of us, right?
Yes, sir. Cheers. Cheers. Know? Yes, sir. Yes, I mean, there's there's just a lot to that. There's a lot of things you didn't talk about, but that's a summarized version, I guess. But like, so
I mean, I get worried about talking too much, man.
Dude,
you know, when we're in a podcast.
Don't worry about it, bro. We have plenty of time. So, I mean, we're only 15 minutes in. We got plenty of time. So, so what are some of you're in multiple bands. You play with Tragedy, which, you know, a lot of people. All right, so look, this podcast is broadcasted outside of just this area, so there's probably a lot of people who don't know about these area specifics, and then also, you know, bands that may not be familiar to them. So let's just talk about everybody you've played with.
Okay, like
that anyone would know.
Crackfight, my metal band, we've gotten around pretty good, you know, and that was a band that came out of Covenant. So Covenant was the band that, when I was renting out the old grocery store to do our events, was for that band, you know. And then Crackfight kind of became a a band that from Covenant to Crackfight, except for I went from guitar player to drummer, because it was supposed to be just a joke, like we weren't, and we ended up just having such a good time that 20 years later we still do a show here and there, and so right about the time Crackfight was forming, about a year after that is whenever I joined Tragedy, and I guess that's right end of 2000, early 2001.
Okay.
And so pretty much there's been times where it was Tragedy and Crackfight both, going pretty decent, and I didn't have a family back then, so I just wanted to be gone all the time.
Yeah.
And so since I played music full time, I got to go live wherever I wanted to live, or stay wherever I wanted to stay as long as I made it to the gig on time.
Yeah.
And so that was a really fun little while of my life. And, since all of that, we've started Cody, Cooke and the Bayou Outlaws, and so that was another thing that was more like Cody came out to the bar and was having so much fun, hosting open mic night. He'd never been on a stage before, that we put together a band for him for his birthday.
Really?
We just thought it was going to be a one-time thing.
Okay.
I subject hop a lot, don't I?
No, you're good, dude. You're good.
Yeah.
I'm keeping up with you. We got it.
Yeah, so literally, man, so we it was going to be a surprise, and I talked to my sister-in-law, Jennifer, to play lead guitar, and Billy on bass. And I guess it was just me on drums, and we didn't have a keyboard player or anything right at first. But we learned like 8 of Cody's songs and 4 cover tunes and played a concert for his birthday, and then that just happened to be a lot of fun for everybody. And we've managed to drag it out this many years, And so from Cody Cooke Band, trying to not get them too confused, man. Man, I'm just grateful that everybody has their own lives and they're all segmented in ways that it seems to where when we collide, it's at the right times.
Right, got you.
And that's what I always try to remind everybody, let's not take things too seriously, because it's magical whenever we do get to do something.
Right.
Yeah. And so as long as, we don't take crap too seriously, and if something hiccups and keeps something from happening, we just got to go, yep, all right, cool, because that magic time is going to happen next time when it all lines up. You know? And so I guess it was during the pandemic, and we weren't playing. Billy and I were doing some recording projects, and with Chris too. We're having some really good times. Yeah. And then I get a phone call from Leif Shively, and I'd known Leif through Swamp Donkey, and playing together, with Cody Cooke and Louisiana Swamp Donkey. And so Leif has always been like just an over-the-top guitar player, but, when we were playing together, Kyle was my guitar player. Yeah. And so doesn't matter who else you have on guitar playing around you. When Kyle's playing, you're just like, so, And so I remember when Kyle moved to Nashville. That was kind of an abrupt thing. Thank you, Kyle. And Leif was like, man, I can play anything that Kyle can play, and at first, like, as awesome as I thought that Leif was, I was like, man, I don't think he knows what he's saying, man. Yeah. Kyle does some retarded stuff, man. Doesn't even make sense. And so I just got to know Leif more and more, and they were putting together this band, and personality-wise, it's full-time, like a Will Ferrell movie. all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and then as musicians, he was 100% right. Anything that Kyle plays, you know, Leif goes, "Sorry, Kyle," and he plays it right back to him, and then they play it in harmony together, and then Slimmy and Gavin and then Eric, you know, I mean, honored to be asked to be a part of that, you know, and so every time that we play together, it's a spectacle. And I love it because nobody takes themselves too seriously there either. You know, they do at their craft, but as long as you're willing to laugh at yourself, man, you know, and not take yourself too seriously, then we can have a good time.
Yeah.
And fortunately in that band too, everybody Leif has a new baby, and Eric's got everybody has businesses, and so our schedules, for the most part, seem to line out the way they should or the way they need to.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to be able to see these passion projects turn into something that's more than that. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people that start a band in a garage that never do anything with it. But you've taken that and turned it into so many things. But you've also been able to work with people from all over the world, like and be in rooms with people that you otherwise never would have been able to had you not, you know, went down that road, if you think about it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's a whole different aspect. Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Wow. Yeah, because I mean, that's all I think is like, this man, I know you're so well connected in the music industry that you know so many people that if I were to be in the room with these people, I'd be like, holy shit, this is so-and-so right here. But you've become probably a little jaded to that because you've been in the industry so long.
Dude, all right. Hang on, let's do this before I tell this story.
Yeah.
It was I get 16 or 17, and what year was it that we got to do the thing with James Burton?
I have no idea.
All right, so I mean, to me, this is the best story ever.
Okay. Well, first off, give some context, because a lot of people don't know who James Burton is. Because we're just spouting off names here, and people don't know who they are.
Yeah, I think everybody should.
They should, but they
should
don't.
Be on, like, when you apply for your driver's license or whatever, it should be on the test.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so James Burton is an iconic guitar player from Shreveport, who kind of was like the first rock and roll kind of style guitar player. You know, he had the hybrid picking, and he played on everything that was good to me from those years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, good is all your opinion, but I mean, every rock guitar player that I grew up listening to, I always heard them give props to James Burton. You know, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for James.
Right.
You know, and that's everybody, right? And so it was like early American Tragedy days, man, like maybe 2002, 2003. James had a club in downtown Shreveport, and they did a showcase, Battle of the Bands kind of thing down there, and they had us host it to make sure people showed up to watch, you know. Yeah. And so we had a thing where we brought full stacks into every venue that we played. And it didn't matter how small the venue was. We were bringing each one of us 2 stacks, and sometimes the sound men would end up happy with us because we didn't make it twice as loud, but we didn't require our monitors to be as loud whenever we had our own speakers hitting us in the head. Yeah. You know, so that's, John Vance, are you looking at me crazy right now? And so the whole night, man, so James is actually there, holding his ears, talking about it's too loud. Everybody's too loud. And I don't even have earplugs in at this time. I mean, that's stupid, kids. Wear earplugs. But all I could think of is one of my heroes is going to hate me after tonight, because we're going to be way louder than because they're not loud.
Not
Trey plays the drums really hard. We don't turn up loud on purpose, but loud enough to be over Trey, or at least the same volume, And so, how do you play a good show when you're the whole time you're just thinking in the back of your head, man, my idol's gonna just hate me, And we played a show, and then when we got down off the stage, he came up and gave me a hug and told me he loved my tone. And I don't know if that's before I stopped using channel 3 on the dual rectifier and went to channel 2 or not.
Yeah.
But he didn't have any reason to lie to me.
Yeah.
And and then that was 2002 or 3 or something like that, and just bumping into each other through the years. Fast forward to 15 or 16, and he calls and asks if I'd be his band director for his Christmas concert.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. Okay, let me look at my calendar and see what make sure I don't have anything extra going on that night. I'm like, let me call you back.
So you're apprehensive. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, because I didn't. Yeah. That's a heavy load.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
a
super.
okay.
And I grew up, watching the Elvis concerts, and the videos and everything, and just being a huge Elvis fan and Burt James fan and everything else, and then just knowing who he plays with, and then he wants me to play drums and be his band leader, and I'm like, I can't play all that stuff that Ronnie Tutt plays on those live concerts, dude. Have you paid attention to the drums on the Hawaii?
No, I haven't. No, I've not.
It's like Slayer or Mastodon drumming.
Okay.
But with Elvis, because all of them, they were on some stimulants back in them days,
good shit. Yeah, there was some
and
good
they
shit.
were. It was fast.
Yeah.
Bro. And so obviously, I was like, well, okay, yes, sir, we'll do it. And so he let me bring the whole Bayou Outlaw, group on that, and so we were just didn't even really know what to say about it, except for it's a lot of pressure, and we better not suck, no matter what, don't suck.
Yeah.
And so I just remember the day, man, I was driving down the road, and I've talked to James, just knew so many times, but when he called my phone and he asked if it would be okay if we just jammed at my house in my studio instead, because his was all set up, for a session, and then the other studio was set up for a photo shoot. So would it be okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
holy shit. He's coming to my house.
He's coming
now.
to my house, bro. What? And I'm like, clean up, everybody.
Yeah.
We got to clean, dude.
Yeah.
James is coming over, and so, man, I just remember the day that he came out there, and we rehearsed, in the studio, and after we went through the Christmas song. Oh, never mind. No, this is a good one. You like this? So we did "Suspicious Minds."
Nice.
And on the recording, it fades out. It's just the chorus over and over and over again. And so I'm supposed to be the person to come up with the ending. And I'm like, dude, I said, man, how did y'all end it? Because I don't know what to do. And he goes, do you want to know how I ended it with Elvis? I just dropped my sticks, I'm just like, no, please, how did you end it with Elvis, and that's how we ended it too, and so, after a beautiful practice, I'm just sitting there, just thinking, he's got his guitar on still, done my favorite Elvis tunes. I'm like, man, play me anything that you did with Merle Haggard.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I was expecting like Working Man Blues,
Yeah.
you know? No, he busted off with Mama Tried.
Mama Tried, okay.
And I dropped my sticks all over again. Like, I literally could not help myself. They just fell out of my hands,
Yeah.
you know? Before you know it, I'm like trying to, he goes, come on, you know, and I'm not supposed to be able to just play the song correctly
Right.
with you right now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in 5 minutes, I should be able to regain some composure and play that song with you.
Yeah.
But that was pretty random, you have to admit. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard that riff your entire life, you
Yeah.
know, and I wasn't even expecting that riff at that time. So that was that. So that led to us getting to do his Christmas party.
Okay.
You know, and man, I mean, the good Lord put me in each one of these places at the right time. So after the Christmas party goes so well in my mind, and my mom said it was good too. They're going to do a tribute concert in Nashville the next year. And so James is like, yeah, hey, JB, man, maybe, you know, you can be my band leader up there too, you know? And I'm just like, shut up, man. You know, like, and because that one was not true.
Okay.
That one was not true, you know? And he likes to pull your leg sometimes,
Okay,
you know?
gotcha.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, now, come on, man, are you getting me this time? Or is this for real this time? You know, come on, man. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to do this once, so now I don't get to be a sucker for believing you, you know? And no, the drummer's the producer's kid and blah, 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 and they have the whole thing lined up and everything. And he goes, but you can still come, you know? And then weeks go by, you know, and you know what happens, I mean, when you don't hear from your really close friend that you talk to all the time for many, many days, you just think nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm just kidding. I don't expect to hear from people all the time, you know, because I'm guilty too. But it's leading up to the show, you know, and so I'd been communicating with Louise a little bit about it, and I was like, look, if y'all need any photography or video work, you know, that you guys can own, let me know, and I'll bring my gear, and you know, I'll do the usual, you know. And they just had too many things going on, and they forgot, you know. And so Cody and I, Cody Cooke, we were going up there anyway to Nashville, and we crossed through Little Rock, Arkansas, and Greg Miles calls me, and hey man, what you doing? You know, oh man, me and Cody are just cruising, banging in Little Rock, you know. Yeah. And he goes, well, man, do you want to be the hero of the day, you know, for James and Louise? And I'm like, man, that's a tricky question sometimes. You know, what's it going to be? And he goes, well, do you have any video gear with you? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. And he goes, well, they don't have anybody lined up to interview the other guitar players for behind the scenes. And so, you know, if you could do it, then you and Taylor could go interview everybody, and everybody will let Taylor ride in, James' granddaughter, you know, and so I'm feeling really secure right now about this interview process, because I've been told that Taylor's going to be the one asking the questions and doing the interviews to all of my guitar playing idols that are going to be here, you know, and nonetheless, that I don't have a tripod with me. I don't have any lighting. Did I have a microphone? And I had one lapel mic with me. That's all I had. And but I, of course, you know. Oh, and it was snowing, and so so downtown or Nashville was going to be on pretty much gridlock anyway. Yeah. and the CMAs were in town, so there was no video gear available to rent. There was nothing, no lenses. I mean, nothing. I mean, like we exhausted every Nashville resource.
Yeah.
So I went to Best Buy and I got a $29 tripod, and I think I had the first ring light that anybody on that production team had ever seen, and because they were very impressed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they thought that I was a real professional, and you know, they could tell that my video quality was going to be excellent, and that I really knew what I was doing with my lapel mic, you know, for an interview mic that I had to hold like this for everybody, and my $29, I think, tripod, and the ring light, you know, and hey, dude, it ain't about the tools.
No,
it's about knowing how to use it, right?
Exactly.
And so, this was the XM radio people that were kind of patronizing me in such a wonderful way, and I got all the interviews, you know, and they got like one interview, but that's what they get. but so imagine this, dude. So I'm getting these my job is to get these interviews, and I'm just kind of like, I'm waiting on Taylor, right? And so I got everything set up, and more than once that, like, I had my sticks like this, you know, and my camera and everything. I'm getting ready to follow her out, and she just leaves me, you know, and like, then finally I'm like, hey, are you gonna do these interviews? And she goes, I'm not interviewing anybody, you know. I mean, I'm not going to be on camera doing that, you know. I'm like, crap, you know.
Yeah.
So then I really don't know what to do. So I've been there for like 2 hours by this time, and so then we go to solve another crazy kind of awesome little issue that popped up, and Miss Louise goes, hey, how are those interviews coming? And I'm like, I don't have any interviews yet. You know, I've been waiting. Well, oh, honey, I mean, that's what we need you here for, is these interviews. And I'm like, well, what do you expect me to do? Like, just go knock on everybody's door and just say, hey, I'm here to ask you a few questions about James? And she goes, that's exactly what I expect you to do. And I'm like, okay. I mean, all right then. You know, nobody ever said that. And so, like, Cody had ran an errand or something, and I'm like, 911, whiskey, you know, and because, like, this time the bars haven't opened or anything, you know, for this event, and so, you know, Cody got back there, man, and it was a couple of Jack Daniels, and then we were on, man, like, and we got the craziest interviews. I did not get to interview Joe Walsh or Brian May because Tanya Tucker kept delaying us, but she did make it up to us with her tequila.
There you go.
But
what kind of tequila was it?
She has her own.
No shit, does she?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's really good,
okay.
and I don't remember what kind it is because Sammy Hagar was there, and he was just doing his rum.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so, I mean, I can't believe I'm talking about this right now because it just doesn't seem real that it ever really happened, you know. And so Albert Lee is the first guy that I stumble in on, you know, and before that happened, so, you know, I walked up, and I guess the security guard thought I was somebody else, and so they had let me right into the venue. And after, behind me, there was a knock on the door, and it turned around, and it was Marty Haggard right there.
Damn.
And the security guard didn't know who he was, and he didn't have a lanyard, and he wasn't going to let Marty in, you know. And I was like, man, look at his face, man. You know, I said, he looks like his dad. Think real hard, man. You know, because this security guard was in his 60s. You know, I'm like, just think, man, one of the best voices in country ever. And so that was kind of funny that day that I got to vouch for Marty, you know, to get in the venue.
Yeah.
You know, and God, man, there were so many incredible players that day. So speaking of amazing drummers, Ronnie Tutt, like I got to talk to him. And just ask him, like, who was your favorite drummer? And he was, Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
And of course you would think that, somebody his age, Buddy Rich would be the guy. But I'm telling you, man, when you go home and you watch that Aloha from Hawaii thing or whatever, and you pay attention to the drums.
Yeah, I have to now.
Ronnie's got like huge double bass drum set, man. And he's playing like Taylor Hawkins looking style, and just as fast, if not faster. And so I was like, man, did you listen to it? Never mind. What about? Never mind. Like, never mind. These guys must have all listened to you.
Yeah.
And so it was intimidating to play with James because of how fast Ronnie played. And I played extreme metal and was worried about playing fast enough.
Yeah. That's crazy.
These dudes are in their 70s.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Those guys are the pioneers for that, right? Because you hear like shit like you have Slipknot or something, you're double bassing and shit, and you hear that and you're like, this is crazy, but that shit had been done a long time ago.
Yeah.
it's played with a different style of music, so people the emphasis wasn't on that one sound, it was on the whole production, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess whoever your audio engineer can make any song sound like a different genre,
right.
I mean, pull the distorted guitar and vocals, out of death metal, and you might have some kind of prog something, or that was the most incredible thing, that blessing that I got, I believe, was through music, was that, was getting, I'm making sure I'm not screwing anything else up.
Getting the introduction to James, and then helping him with what was done locally, and then it transpiring into you being able to actually go there and connect with all those people. It wasn't accomplishment in itself is to get to do all that for him, but then in turn go up there and then be in the room with all those people.
Bro, we're on an elevator, and it's me and Cody and Brian May and forgot Garth Brooks' guitar player. I'm sorry, Garth's guitar player, because everybody knows what his name is.
I don't.
But it was him and his daughter, and his daughter had some fancy boots on. And so Brian's standing right here next to me, and Cody's right behind me. And Brian just goes, "Nice boots," or something like that. "I really love your boots," or "Lovely boots," or something. And Cody goes, "Well, thank you very much." And Brian,
he probably had some old ratchet ass steel toes on too.
He did. And Brian had to speak up real quick and goes, "No, I was talking about her boots, mate." And I was like, "Sure you were, Brian. It's fine." And we're all friends here, so that was kind of funny. That was. And then there wasn't any Joe Walsh interaction besides a high five as he walked out. But at one point, so Sammy Hagar's coming by, and he's got a red Solo cup in his hand, and first thing I say is, "Don't hide it, divide it."
Yeah.
And he looks at it, he goes, "I just poured this one for me." He goes, "You keep this one and I'll make myself another one." And so it was his rum. And so I know Cody was videoing me at that point, and I think I took a picture and sent it to Jessica, and I was like, "Hey, if I come home with something I didn't leave with, it's Sammy Hagar's fault." And I'm hoping that this will sanitize it, or
Yeah.
And so I got to say, "Man, I know you probably hear this all the time, but you're my favorite singer for Van Halen."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Jackie," man, he goes, "Man," he goes, "I'm the only singer Van Halen's ever had." And I'm like, "Dude, come on, man, you know what I mean? Favorite front man, how about that?
Yeah.
Favorite songs." So that was really cool, and then getting to share that dude's rum, and then Tanya's tequila that night.
Yeah. No, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. That's a lot for one fucking day.
That was a lot.
That's a lot for one. To think about that all at one time, like it's different. Just meeting some, and look, like everyone idolizes different types of people, but like meeting that one person is one thing, and then you've already met them, so it's expected to run into them again. But meeting people that you've idolized that you realized that you weren't like that you didn't think you were going to run into or like get this chance and you hadn't been able to mentally prepare for it. It's a lot. It's a lot for anything. I mean, it's whether it's a celebrity or just someone that you've looked up to from afar that you've never met. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you do podcasts now, so you're having to master the skill of carrying on a conversation kind of under pressure. You know,
it happens. What happens? Yeah, this helps. This tequila helps.
It's I hate that it's a crutch, man.
No.
But, I mean,
well, I like it. I like it to relax. You know, look, there's nothing better than having a good conversation over some spirits, right?
Exactly.
If that's your thing. If it's not your thing, fine. Then I respect that. We don't do that. But today we're doing it. You know what I mean? Shout out. This is Centenario Cristalino, by the way, and this is left over from. Shout out to Cuban Liquor. This is left over from a previous episode. We did a tequila talk, and this is some high end shit. And it's good, man. I mean, you can enjoy it. You don't need any ice. You don't need any mixers. You don't need shit. Room temperature in a glass. That's it. Straight up.
Who turned you on to this?
Tequila? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I just try all of them, man. So this is just a brand. This is the first time I've had it. Well, I mean, the second time I've had it, but the first time that I've, in Hall tried. This is my very first bottle of this. Excuse me. But I've been doing tequila now. I don't even know who turned me on to it. I feel like I started drinking it probably 10 years ago. And then I got on I was a whiskey guy for a long time. And then I kind of swapped to me and Chris Hemingway. We used to drink a lot of vodka. We just went straight vodka, and I would do like vodka and water with a little splash or something,
Cutting carbs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to look good naked, man. And we got on down the road, and I got out of the vodka thing, and I started drinking tequila, and I really don't remember what pivotal moment it was or whatever it was, but it did have something to do with watching The Rock come out with Terramana and seeing all the benefits if you're going to drink any alcohol's not good for you regardless, so I'm not going to say it's great for you. But if you're going to have anything, this is better metabolized from what I understand, the way it's produced, and it's not made out, like it's made out of agave plant versus corn or rice or potatoes. So it doesn't, it's supposedly not supposed to create more sugar production and stuff like that in the body. I don't know the research behind it. All I know is it's supposed to be a little healthier. So I was like, well, I'm going to start drinking tequila instead. And so we started doing the podcast, like the tequila talk, and we would try new tequilas, and I've just kind of gotten to where I'm bougie now. Like, I only want the good tequilas. Like, the Patron that people are shooting at the bars, not the good tequila. Mm-mm. It's a higher end, but it's still silver tequila. It's not aged in any barrels. This is aged in barrels. It's an añejo, actually, but then it's triple filtered back through charcoal and silver, this specific one. And then it gives it the flavor it has. So this is actually just like a whiskey, but then it's filtered.
And it doesn't burn at all.
No.
And I'm acting like I could read the label, but those letters are really small. And I was trying to see what part of Mexico.
They're all from Jalisco. So every tequila's from Jalisco. That's where.
Is that near Cabo, man? What?
I don't know where it's at geographically.
Everything's
from Cabo.
near Cabo.
Yeah, he's gonna. Jamie, Josh has
Fact
got
check.
this, man. You got it. But yeah, Jalisco is where all the tequila comes from, and that's where it's all imported from and produced. And but the distilleries there, the ways some areas like the agave they get are from certain areas. So based on elevation and how they're farmed, the flavor's different, and then based on how they're distilled and produced, the flavor's different. But I've learned so much about the shit. It's just like the whiskey. Whiskey's a great thing, man. I like whiskey.
I really do too.
But I got to where it just affected me differently, and so once I swapped to this, I feel better, and I can have like I can have a couple glasses with you, and then tonight I'm gonna do a fucking 2-hour workout and kill myself and still be okay. Like that's unheard of. I couldn't do that if I was drinking beer. There's no way I'd be done.
CrossFit people can drink beer and do that though.
Yeah,
huh?
I can't. I don't like beer, but if I
but you've been a carb cutter though.
Yeah. But I mean, I enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate the lack of carbs in this because I did have me a Cajun steak and cheese, courtesy of Bojack's down there earlier on the food truck bread. So, I appreciate you helping me watch those carbs.
Good old food truck bread.
Can't beat it, man. Can't beat it.
Yeah, I want the facts on Jalisco.
Yeah,
we do.
Give me the Jalisco facts.
Jalisco is a western Mexican state fringing on the Pacific Ocean. The state is known for mariachi music and tequila, both of which reportedly originated here. The capital, Guadalajara, is peppered with colonial plazas and landmarks like the neoclassical Teatro del Grado and regal Guadalajara Cathedral. With its twin gold spires, the neighboring Palacio de Gobierno houses murals by Mexican artist Jose Clemente Orozco.
Okay.
Can you throw like a map quest in there from that to Cabo Wabo Cantina?
Yeah. How far? How far from Cabo Wabo?
Where's Cabo Wabo?
Because there's a reason. Right next near that, it's on the west coast of Mexico. It's got to be close.
Yeah.
Like Keithville and Stonewall.
From the coast, or do you want like from Guadalajara?
I want from the tequila place.
Well, that's the whole
From Guadalajara to Cabo. Yeah. Yeah. Cabo Wabo tequila.
We might have to take a field trip
I'm down with that.
because I think that's what
I
you're
need to
going
go.
for.
I need to
here
go
with
anyways, man. I mean, I'm
product placement.
doing it all
here.
the time. If I drink so much of this shit, I need to go there and drink it and enjoy it there where it's created it.
How do you spell Wabo?
No, you don't. Wabo's that's just tequila. Just Cabo's the name of the area.
Cabo San Lucas.
Yeah. I've never been to Mexico. Not once. I need
I
to
wouldn't go right now.
Man, I don't think there's ever a good time to go politically.
No, it's a little bit worse right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Bob,
Cartel not scared of
Okay,
at all.
if you go drive, it's like 22 hours.
From Cabo to there?
Because
Guadalajara to Cabo.
Cabo's at the end of Cali, Mexico, or whatever they call it. What do they call it, part of Mexico?
Man,
Baja, California.
Yeah.
you said it was on the west coast of Mexico, dude.
It's on the way down there.
Like, you know how, like, that's Baja, California, and then it does this? Like, it's basically like a peninsula.
Anyways.
But there's some good fishing down there.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Cheers. So, anyways, back to the music world. So you've done all this, you met all these people, and then it's just interesting to me. This has got to be funny, right? So you've been in so many scenarios where you've seen these bands live, or you've met these people. You met these, the front men, the producers, the drummers, whoever, the guitarist, and then you have to deal with nowadays booking these prima donna. Like, tell me about that shit, because I know it's hilarious.
Bro. Okay, so
Because they probably just think, like, coming into a market like this where especially the rock scene's not, up and move. It's not really up and beat anywhere right now. It's like kind of slowly coming back, I feel like. But yeah, it's up and down. But so they're coming into an area to where, it's kind of been stagnant for a little while, and you're bringing it back with your new venue, and this venue down here that you're helping, run acts through as well. It's just funny. They probably have no fucking idea who you are or what you've seen. You know what I mean?
well, man, it's kind of, I've tried to always make it my policy to stay humble, man.
Right.
And the most highly respected artists that I've ever gotten to be around were humble, and gracious. And man, what a great example, And so typically anybody that you deal with, I mean, in business too, man, if they're a prick, man, or they brag. I mean, that's what's hard for me to tell stories. I feel like I'm bragging, man, and because I'm not. I'm just.
No, stories are not. I mean, that's not bragging at all. It's like you're not saying what achievements you've made. You're saying I got to meet these people,
lucky enough
experience
to
this,
Man, it's usually people that are not good that have those attitudes, like the worst of an artist, like the worst of an attitude. Don't get me wrong. There's some terrible artists that are really nice, but I mean, typically, like, as a promoter, I'll go ahead and name drop one that hurt my feelings in case he ever listens to you. Ted Nugent.
Oh, okay.
And so, being from the South and growing up on 98 Rocks.
Yeah, everybody loves some Stranglehold.
Man,
I walked out to my first
Yankees,
MMA
too.
fight to that.
As you
Stranglehold, man. I mean,
Kerry Von Erich did.
yeah.
Man. And so we make all these things happen. I tried to bring him to town a handful of times, from when I have a job being a talent buyer or promoter for a venue to the year that we brought him to Silver Star.
Oh, so you did bring him? I didn't.
Yep.
I don't know how I missed that concert.
It was a
Holy
Tuesday
shit.
because it sold out instantly.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
It was a Tuesday. There was no marketing because literally
You didn't need any.
it just sold out.
Yeah.
And so we jumped through hoops to make all this crap work for Ted Nugent, including having him a private RV pulled around back by the stage for him to use for his own little private dressing room, even though there was another dressing room, that everybody else uses just fine, and two tour buses. And so the tour manager knew, that I told him, hey man, I've been trying to bring Ted to town forever, and it's really cool that we get to do this. And, we'd love to get to meet him, and, get him to sign one of our wall guitars or something, and he's not signing any guitars, blah, 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 and, we'll see about getting a picture or something,
Yeah.
And I mean, his tour manager had an ego and was a pro too.
Right.
And so Ted drove in from the airport in a rental, pulled right up to the stage, got up on the stage, played, got back off the stage in his little rental car and left. And he just didn't care. He said he didn't care to meet the owner or the promoter that run the town. He chose to not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucked up.
And we did everything that he asked for, and included.
Why do you think some artists are like that, though? Do you think it's just Do you think it's just don't not want to deal with anything, dealing with stuff so long? Ted's not a guy. He doesn't drink. He doesn't party. Doesn't smoke. He doesn't do any drugs. I mean.
So he's crazy on a different level, right? He didn't have any excuses for all the crazy crap he's done in his life, except for just being crazy.
Most people, most of those artists have they're just go off the wagon, for some reason or another. Most due to drugs or alcohol, right?
Sure.
But I mean, I just wonder why. I wonder why. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I've heard interviews with him. He seems like a nice fellow.
Seems like
yeah. But I don't know why he would discount. But I mean, it happens. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. So that was the big league. I think he's the main artist that came through in big league just like that.
So that's the one that's done you the hardest right there. Tell me this. Something you've done that you never would have thought you would have done, aside from the James Burton thing. Something you holy shit, this is unexpected. I never would have thought I'd be right here in this moment right now. And it doesn't have to be so much starstruck, but just holy shit, the turn of events, how this happened. I can't believe it. There's got to be a few moments in your mind.
And this one don't have anything to do with me in music. So, and so my wife's sister Joanna was doing backup vocals for Reba McEntire in Niagara Falls, on the Canadian side, and this was the weekend she was doing that, and so we're we love Reba, we love Joe, we're just gonna go and try to get a ticket when we get there, and it's a casino show, so they give away all those tickets ahead of time, so it's way sold out. And so what the heck, we're going to Niagara Falls anyway, right? And so we get there and there are no tickets, it's way oversold, and the show starts and they have TVs outside of the theater, and so Jess and I are just glued to the TV, and then they walk out, and Jess is there she is. And so meanwhile, I guess the head of player development was right there, and the head of security and somebody from the venue was watching us, legitimately interested in what was going on that stage in there, unlike most people at concerts at casinos, you know? And they're like, hey, where are y'all from? And so we told them the whole story. Wait, you flew all the way up here and didn't have tickets or anything? And we're like, yep. And they're like, wait a minute, And so then they walked us right down to the fifth row.
Yeah.
And so that was cool, that and random. And then the hotel we were staying at happened to be the hotel that Joe and Steve and Reba and everybody was staying at. And so we, hung out in the bar with Reba at the very end of the night.
Well, that's cool. Awesome.
And so that was a random. let's see.
I mean,
Randoms.
there's so many. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what's interesting to me is that you've been around so many of these big acts. You've been around all these musicians from the biggest in country and western to the biggest in metal. And to like it's crazy. It's just crazy to think about because most people don't. They'll idolize like one person. Or there's people that are interested in styles and musicians and like we love this guitar sound from this band, but like getting an appreciation for every single sound is something that's very rare. And I feel like you do have that because anytime we talk about anything, you're like, well, I got so and so coming here, and I'm just like, holy shit, I never would have thought you would be booking that band. But you understand the market and you look at everything. You don't just you always have quality. And a lot of times you're overbooking it because we don't have the fucking market, which has got to be frustrating.
Man,
and I don't mean to hit a nerve. Think this. I'm just like, I remember when you text me 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe, and you were like, hey, I'm going to run, like I'm going to try to get Tab Benoit here, or somebody you told me, I don't remember who it was. I was like, fuck yeah. And then like you couldn't line it up because nobody would buy no fucking tickets. I'm like, this is so frustrating. It's got to be frustrating.
Oh. It's very frustrating to not be able to bring passion projects to town, because like after, let's see, I guess like all of the soundstage days pretty much were not, I wasn't promoting concerts like for a job. They would be my favorite metal bands that I didn't want to drive to see. And so I could bring them here. And all my friends could come see it, or otherwise Shreveport wouldn't have the show ever happen. And so that was really what, like, it's and anytime I do a metal show, it's definitely not to make money. It's a
you're not making any money on metal around here, not at all. Probably haven't in 20 years.
It's not profitable. It's just a labor of love. And but doing those things, I would get to bring my favorite bands to town, and a lot of times, when they found out that it was just my brother and I living at my house or whatever, then I'd have my favorite band staying at my house. And so I mean, like having Mastodon, like sleeping in the living room.
That's pretty fucking badass.
They're the main one, and Goat Whore and Swanwick Green and Crowbar and like, all my heroes growing up, coming through and crashing at the house, And
what was your wife think about this shit?
There wasn't a wife back at that time.
But now, like, just like, like.
I mean, whenever her older sister, Joanna, moved to Nashville, they've kind of been in and around the business like the whole time since then.
And she's a phenomenal vocalist too.
Yeah, like the three sisters together, man. Nobody would have.
I got to give her props on air for that last performance y'all put together for our nonprofit benefit we had. They were amazing.
They did a. I was like proud. I can't say Ike Turner because she might beat me up when I get home.
But it was exciting. Like I was like, they killed it, dude. I was like, hell yes, this is amazing.
And the whole time I kept thinking, I'm like, she don't half-ass do anything, so it's about to be all in. And that was great, man. And that's, speaking of her, my wife, I heard her sing before I ever even knew what she looked like.
Oh, I'm sure. I was like, you had to have met her through that, right?
Yeah. Man, it was when we were touring full time, and I was home for the holidays, and I was having dinner with my mom and dad at Superior, the Mexican Grill, and we're over on the diner side, and I'm just trying to have some dinner with my people while I'm in town, and there's a band over there playing with a female singer, and I'm just distracted the whole time.
Yeah.
Gosh dang, and so finally, I had to. Y'all got to just give me a minute and let me go over there, And so I peeked around the corner, and I was like, "Man, she's good looking too."
Yeah, go over there, spit some game.
And, I've never really had too much game, man. I never would even know a girl liked me if she wasn't sitting in my lap. You know?
Yeah.
And but I knew her bass player that night, you know, so that was like my little in.
Yeah.
You know, and then she came over there and introduced herself to me that night. And that was the first girl that's come up and said hi to me without me having a guitar on or after a show or whatever, you know, or being at one of my shows. And so, I mean, that's the first one in years. And I was like, wow, she likes me for me, you know, and now, you know, 16 years, almost 16 years of marriage and a 13-year-old and a 11-year-old later.
Hell yeah, man.
And now, you know, that's my creative primary focus.
Yeah.
Because we've got a studio that's just about lined out, you know, at the house and ready to record, and a couple of drum sets set up at any time, and any instrument that you would want to play or need to play, you know, is right there. And because I want to, like, be able to be the president of anything that my kids are passionate about. Mm-hmm. So I can just make sure that if you get on the island, that you're worthy of being on the island, you know?
Right.
And so I can throw off any bad ones, you know?
Yeah. No, that's important. I think that's good.
Yeah, that's yeah, anything that you've seen me like dive heavy into the last 5 years, it's all been because that's my kid's been passionate about it. I'm like, okay, boom, we got to get that. You know, let's make the best of where we are.
So now you have this new venue too, right? So you have Shreve Station.
Yep.
So what's going on with that?
Man,
because first off, hats off to you for doing something in downtown Shreveport, because it takes some fucking balls, sir. You must have balls, like, to just.
Or I'm a glutton for punishment, or, you know, I'll watch what I say about some of these things. You know, so with East Bank District being packed, you know, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's 2,000 people.
Yep.
And how many people live in Narcoleptics? About 300,000-ish?
More than that. More than that, I believe. Yeah, more than that. But yeah. Yes. So, I think we have a 250,000 metro here. So if you go outside of that, yeah, I would say probably 350, 400.
Yeah. And so whenever I say that I've been blessed in like every area of my life, you know, so when Riverside Warehouse was going away was when David Alvis decided to build the stage at Silver Star, you know, and Tommy Brooks, you know, calls me and he's like, hey, you need to go talk to David Alvis because you need to be over there doing that for him. And I said, well, I don't know him. I've never met him, you know. So Tommy called David, then David called me, and next thing I know, we're building a freaking stage, right?
Yeah.
You know, and big, nice place. And so the first year we did a whole bunch of concerts, and then kind of like after that, David has a very loyal customer base, and he knows how to cater like specifically to his clientele,
right?
And he stays so busy and does so well at everything, like that's all the busy he wants, you know. I mean, that's busier than what he wants, and he like grants us more shows, you know, because it feeds everybody, kind of thing, you know. But like that being said, it's so specific, you know, what he wants to do there and what he doesn't want to do there,
right?
You know, and so at the same time, you know, I mean, I'd been friends with Bo and Peanut for a while, you know, and I was, you know, helping them out when they had their little wooden stage in the back, you know, and we're, you know, doing some, like Bo was kind of getting like me with some of my metal bands too, you know, like some bands we really love that we know we're not going to make any money off of, but man, if we could just share this with the people around here and maybe help show them what some really good music is they haven't heard, that maybe will open their minds to listening to more music like that, then those of us that are in the live music business could book more things that we like to listen to, you know.
Makes sense. It does make sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Plant a seed of what you want to hear, even though we don't book necessarily what we want to hear.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
Like, and so the first season of doing Hurricane Alley, you know, everybody was like really up in the air. What are we going to do? Are we going to sell tickets? Are we going to do some ticket events? Are we going to do free events? Are we going to do national acts? What are we going to do? You know, and so just kind of throwing things all over the place. And again, I'll say that's God watching out for me again, because that was the year that COVID, you know, had gone away or whatever. And the stage was still bowed over from just straight restaurant business, because we were using the outside area as additional seating for the restaurant, you know, and it's packed all the time. So, I mean, like, hey, buddy, can you show me how this makes sense for me to move this money over to here?
Right.
You know, and then maybe make these people mad, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't. No, I'm not going to argue with you about it, man. I'm going to say that it sucks for me and for the people around here. But, dude, I mean, it makes total sense. But that gave me a whole summer here for Bo and Doug and Peanut and Brian to really figure out what it is they wanted to do here, which is nothing like that goes on over there. Right. Yeah. And so even that being the case, you're still only doing it for minute amount of people. 1%. You know, I mean, there it is. You know,
10%.
And so the Shreveport thing, man. I'm from Shreveport. You know, and back, you know, in the early, I guess, like 2000s, the Tourism Bureau would like send me to festivals every now and then, like as a diplomat for Shreveport, to try to bring festivals here. You know, but like. Thanks for the free hotel and stuff, you know, but we didn't have anything to brag about back then, or really, you know, or anybody cooperating within, you know, the city government to make it reasonable to do anything. You know, this is the early 2000s or whatever. But and so me doing the Shreve Station thing was not really supposed to happen. You know, like I really liked the lot, you know, and what Edgar and Deshay had going down there, and I had a couple of shows that I was really passionate about that were coming up, and Edgar was done, you know, and he wasn't like 100% done, like, because I think that whenever when you don't like doing something, and then you have a buddy that comes along that should have been there the whole time, really, but then you hear about the cool things that you can do, right? Like things that could be profitable, you know. And I think that I had him a little interested, you know, to hang on for a minute, and you know, but I understand, you know, you put a whole lot into a place. And it's all bad memories, you know, and stressors and stuff. And so we're just sitting there, and we're at a crossroads, and it's like, let's do it. And so there were a couple of other things that were brought in my direction that made me more eager to do that, you know, at that time, that led to me to make the decision to do that.
Yeah. And so now you're running with it.
Now I'm running with it.
Now you're running with it. So what are your plans? What are your plans for this place? So what are you going to all these, because people are going to ask this question, so I might as well ask you, because I'm just thinking what people are going to ask you. What are you doing different there that you're doing different here and different in the other venue? Because you have the thing is, what I think is interesting about you is you target different markets and play on those markets, but at the same time you have your hands in everything. So what's your plan? What are we doing?
Essentially, I'm keeping everybody playing nice with each other. Okay. You know, and so, like the example that has been set with the synergy in the East Bank. Yeah. You know, started off with Bojack's, you know, and then you know, Doug comes down here and he's opening up something, you know. Yeah. And mutual respects, mutual visions, and honestly, because I've known both of those guys separately for years, very similar quality of people, you know. So they were very fortunate that good people landed. It's not fortunate. It's destiny, man.
Yeah.
You know? And so essentially, what I'm not going to be doing in Shreveport is anything that's going on here.
Right.
At the same time. You
Okay.
know, I'm not going to be touching the same wallet.
Okay.
That I'm not going to be asking the same person to even go out more than once a weekend.
Well, I have to ask you, are we getting more metal back?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I had to ask. I mean, I got to know. Come on, man.
So I kind of led to this.
We need metal back.
I led to this earlier.
Bring metal back.
You know, is So my son's really into music now,
Okay.
you know, and there's, you know, not really any all ages places to be, you know, for Hurricane Alley, this is a very high end production for a place that's free to get in. You know,
very much so is, yes.
You have to be polished and ready to be on that stage.
Yes.
And so my goal in Shreveport is to have a stage that is ready for any major label band that wants to come in and step on that stage.
Okay.
But it's designed for high school kids. And so my project there is going to be to mentor youth into putting
So you have a
together
less
bands.
intimidating venue that's more that's inviting to everyone.
Well,
pretty
yeah.
much,
Well, and there's not a bunch of restaurants lined up right there that's going to have, you know, customers
a lot of
hanging around that
yeah.
need to not hear somebody play their first bar chord
right.
or something,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a way more forgiving thing.
Makes sense.
And that's just my vision for that down there.
And you know that market, like you thrive in that market.
That's just,
you really do. So
yeah.
like, why not? You know,
it's not here. It's got to be.
It's got to be somewhere.
It's got to be back here again.
Yeah.
You know, and so my thing with Shreve Station is it's a place that's expensive to pay for me to pay for. You know, and so I need to program it every day.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want to be the only person promoting concerts there. So I mean, it's just a super reasonable place for, you know, outside promoters to come in and bring their favorite bands to town too.
Yeah, and you got my boy
and
Jake.
hey, and if they're willing to pay for it, I'll help them.
You got my boy Jake DeMint back boxing there too.
Oh yeah,
that's
man.
awesome.
Yeah, man. So like,
but doing stuff like that's awesome, man. Like having a venue that is very diversified, I would say. You know, where you can do all types of things. Where, you know, have food trucks roll up. You know, while there's music going on, while there's a boxing match going on, what have you, you know?
Yes, man. So, and we got a car show coming in May,
There you go.
know, custom car show.
Awesome.
And just another place for people to assemble, you know, and I'm really excited to cultivate these young bands, you know.
Well,
and
that's
do
that's
down
where your
there.
passion's at, and I think everyone knows that. You know what I mean? I think just talking to you today, I know that more because it's like, if you're going to do something that's a business venture, whether you even make profit or just break even, you might as well be doing something that you enjoy doing.
That's the only thing
You
I
know,
can do, man.
because you've done all the other shit, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like at this point,
funnel it all in the kids. So
Yeah.
like even in the bands, you know, that I still play with, you know, we pretty much do festivals and all ages shows.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, I'll have the kids selling merch or
yeah, there's
you know,
your venue right there.
Or I mean, they travel with us and it just really I felt like I've had enough of self-gratifying fun.
I mean, yeah,
you know,
and the thing is, like, you can do it for yourself now. You've been doing it for everyone else so long. Now you have a venue where you can do it for yourself. You know what I mean?
You know,
and you know what to do and what not to do at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's just it's interesting, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it carries a big footprint,
I bet.
and you just try to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And
We'll leave it at that.
yeah, we'll leave it at that, man. Yeah. So again,
I just had to give you a plug, man. I don't want to get all into the depths of your business or try to, you know, or politics or anything like that. But I I know how hard you've been working in this industry for how long, and now that you have something that you're doing for yourself while you're still helping everyone else, I think it's amazing.
Dude, thank you, man.
And I think it's amazing that you have people around you that support that too, that are not at your heels about it. You know what I mean?
Well, I was worried, man.
Right. I mean, why wouldn't you? Because you know this fucking market, right? And I say this because a lot of people don't know. So, and I've discussed this on the show before when we talk to people like down here, because we all know the synergy and how everyone works together. But this market for so many years has been so overly competitive that no one would let someone else shine without them getting their fucking feelings hurt.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And there's a new collective group of people, you being one of them, that understands the bigger picture. And so the more we have those people, work with each other, the larger this picture is going to become. You know what I mean? But it's been needing to happen for fucking 50 years. It really hasn't happened. Longer than that, it probably hasn't happened since the 50s. If you think about it, in this area.
Well, a lot of things, man, you hear, well, man, look, you take your pie, which is what you have, which is our market, right? And then you start cutting each little segment out of it, and you realize how small the pie is really. And so they're like, well, man, how do you possibly think that business model is going to work? If you've only got this percentage, your probability is only this, whatever, based upon your local market. And I'm like, okay, well, the thing, like our local market, we have some great people here, yes, but our local market as a market sucks. We need to bring tourists in to stimulate our market, and casinos are not the way to do it, because bigger and better's right there in Oklahoma, and so we can't hang it all on that. There has to be multiple reasons.
There's got to be multiple options.
And family-oriented things are, I mean, that's really all I'm interested in doing,
Well, I mean, look how much money that people spend on their children.
Youth sports.
Look how much money. It's very easily doable in other avenues like music and entertainment, dance, all that shit. Like how much money is spent on those things.
So much money.
Yeah, I mean, it's not far-fetched for people to spend that money, and but that you have to have the area to do it. So I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah. So there's no reason why downtown Shreveport and downtown Bossier shouldn't be seen as one thing.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because when I first, got offered the opportunity, I'll call it, down there in Shreveport, I brought Bo over there with me, and I'm like, come on, man. He goes, and they had just signed another deal, and I'm like, I ain't asking you to do anything, man. But how awesome would it be to have the East Bank on the West Bank too?
Yeah.
And really just to set an example to everybody and all of the other venue, bar owners, restaurant owners in the market, that I'm like, if all you're doing is going after your backyard and worrying about what everybody else is doing, then you're already behind.
Yep.
And I think, those of us that do have successful things that are currently going, I mean, we're looking at how do we bring outside people in, to experience, the quality of people that we have that live here, that serve others, and the experiences that we want to create and share with everybody. I mean, you throw party gras, bro. I mean, you gotta know. You got to love the feeling of every little bit of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's just great to have that many people in one area that are all doing something for someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like for me, when the pandemic shut everything down or whatever, I got offered opportunities to do streaming events, and get paid pretty well to do streaming events with the video background and everything. But I'm like against that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like that. That's nothing about streaming an event gets my adrenaline going at all. I mean, like I need every little bit of stress leading up to it, and I need problems to pop up here and there You know, and I need people. I need to see people waiting in line, like getting like, and then I need to see smiles on everybody's faces. You know, I mean, all of that is what it takes to make me okay at the end of the night. You know, knowing that I did something good, and streaming doesn't feed any of those selfish desires that I have.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, like, it's got to be more than $1, I guess.
Well, I think that bringing the East Bank of Bossier and downtown Shreveport together over time is not far-fetched. And I just commend you for you're probably going to be the first step of doing that, if you really think about it. You know, there are other things in motions that hopefully are going to start happening over the course of the next year or two in these areas, but I think yours is the milestone, because if you can do what I know you can do, then I think it's going to bridge a gap that has been here for so long. And me saying that's going to get people thinking about that. And that's why I said it, because I want people to hear that, because they need to know. And the people that aren't here locally, because this podcast is broadcasted nationwide, so a lot of people aren't here locally. But if you just look into this area and the amount of talent that's come from this area, the amount of talent that's in this area, and the things that have derived from this area over the course of the past 70 years, you'll know that there's some appreciation and value to hear. There's just some things that need to be done to kind of reignite that.
Indeed, man, and it's really people working together to create that synergy.
Yep.
And you know, so if you've got business owners that are worrying about what other business owners are doing in different places, then you're behind the ball already.
Yeah.
You know, and what we need to be worried about is what more can we do to make what we have more appealing to others, you know?
Yeah.
Just worry about what we've got going on, you
Yep.
know? And now if you're making investments, like if you're, you know, booking an expensive concert, sure, then you have to pay attention to what everybody else is going on, you know, and make sure that you're not like trying to do something on the exact same time, you know, and then everybody loses.
Yeah, you got to play nice with everyone.
You know, and but that's it, you know. I'm seeing a lot more synergy coming from places these days, you know, and people.
Well, I think everyone's like, fuck, we've been each other's heels for so long. We got to try something. We got to try to get along at this point, right? Damn.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I've always done a good job of trying to just not pay attention.
Yeah.
To the haters and.
Yeah, and I'm not. I just see
critics,
it from afar. Yeah,
you know,
I'm not in it. I just see it from afar, but I know it exists. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I remember that I used to hear so much crap because the same bands would get to open up, you know, for the same national acts that would come through town. You know?
Yeah.
And yes, it is a good old boys network. And yes, those bands are my friends that get to open up for everybody. Yes. But guess what? As soon as they see that band's playing or whatever, they ask, you know, hey bro, do you have support for this? You know?
Yeah.
Perfect timing, you know?
Exactly.
I can submit you, you know, but then you have others that sit back waiting and expecting you to reach out and ask them if they want to do it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't, then you're the asshole that only books their friends,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever other
the hard
description you want to come up with. And I'm, you know, like,
yeah. The hard thing about it for you though is everyone's your friend. So you're always gonna piss someone off.
always.
It is what it is, man. You're a likable guy. Like someone's gonna get mad. It is what it is. Fuck them. You can't please everyone 24/7.
Man, especially, you know, Mr. Newlywed there, you know?
Yeah.
Like we got more important things to worry about who we piss off now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got to keep a happy roof.
Yeah,
right
dude,
there,
I don't
man.
care about anyone else
All
now
that
at
other
this point.
stuff, man.
Yeah, I worry about my family, and that's it, man. And we, you know, keep doing these things that we're doing that helps everyone. But other than that, yeah, shift of focus has changed. Could care less about any of that noise in the background.
Well, see, my wife can beat me up.
Mine probably can beat me up, too, on a good day.
But I think, not that I would know, but I think this is my wife now is probably the first one that is strong, just physically strong enough to beat me up.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that, man? Like, you know, y'all ever arm wrestle for fun or what?
No, we don't arm wrestle, man. We compete against each other in CrossFit, and she kicks my ass 90% of the time. Every now and then I get her, and then that just pisses her off more, so she'll beat me next time. You know, so.
That's good stuff.
We enjoy it. We stay on each other's ass. We enjoy it, man. It's a good time. Well, look, dude, let's wrap this thing up. You got any last words, man? Anything you want to throw out there? Anything we didn't talk about you may want to, mention?
I don't want to get in trouble for forgetting something.
Oh, you didn't come in here with the script, bro, so I
No,
don't care.
I didn't, man.
You're not going to hurt my feelings at all.
Not really, man. Just thanks for having me, and thanks for all you're doing in the community, man.
Yeah, man.
And for constantly grinding, And I love the motivational stuff that you share on social media, and grinding all the time. And so, I like being around people that motivate me and inspire me, dude.
I don't know. I was such an asshole for so long. I feel like I need to make amends, man. Do better things, But you don't. That's part of growing up, right? You know what I mean?
Well, you were living in a small town, dude.
Exactly.
I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a bigger picture now, man. It's a bigger picture.
Now you're international, son.
Oh shit! I don't know about all that. But
Worldwide.
one day, maybe. All right, man. Let's wrap it up.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.